Good Wednesday morning, friends. Wherever you happen to be and whenever you happen to be joining us, it is good to be joining you today. I have my coffee out on my back deck this morning, and wherever you are, and whatever you might happen to have in your hand, I hope that you find this time to meet with me as we do each week, to sit and breathe together and to think about where God is meeting us. For those who don't know, I'm Reverend Jennifer Finley, our Momentum and Discipleship pastor at First UMC here in Kirksville. And this is a time I've come to cherish each week with you and with myself and with God, to ask this question of where have we seen God at work around us? Where has God been made visible to us, made visible and tangible to us in these past few days? It's a time that I've come to cherish because it forces me to ask those questions of myself and to wonder alongside you of what God is up to. Now, this summer at First UMC here in Kirksville, we've been leaning into some themes in worship and other parts of our life together, some themes of rest and renewal in this sort of strange in-between summer. And that's gotten me to thinking about tables. Now, I know that doesn't seem like a direct connection, but I hope you'll follow with me for a few minutes. It's gotten me to thinking about when I rest and find renewal around tables and what those look like. A few weeks ago, I sat on my front porch during a rainstorm and watched it rain and talked with a friend I hadn't talked with for a while, and we had takeout around a makeshift table. Some of our food was on laps, some of it was on a tiny little table. It wasn't a big, abundant table, but the conversation was good, and God met me in those moments as we shared together what the last year or so had been like. This was a friend I hadn't talked to for quite a while. And then last weekend, I had a similar kind of plan to have a different friend over on my porch, and we were going to do takeout. And at the last minute, the phones were down for the restaurant that we were planning to order from. That's been going around here in Kirksville. And so we decided that no, okay, we're comfortable, we'll go eat in person. And God met me at a small table in a restaurant, distanced from other diners, and it was lovely. And at that table, God met me. I saw God at work in my life and this friend's life. And I've seen God at this table. This is my back deck table. And sometimes I come home from the office and I sit here for lunch. It's not always quite so noisy with mowers. Sometimes when I sit at this table by myself, it feels a little lonely. Sometimes when I'm sharing a meal out here for lunch or for a dinner and I'm on my own, sometimes that feels lonely. And I know some of you know that feeling. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes God meets me in those moments when I allow myself to put down the phone, put down the books, and simply listen for God's voice and God's presence. In those moments, God is made tangible to me. And so I'm wondering, what do your tables look like? Where is God meeting you around all kinds of different tables? I think about things that don't even look like tables. Those of you who worship with us each week, whether online or in person, know that we gather online and in person around a communion table. And each week, God meets me in new ways, in tangible ways, when I look out and I see folks sitting in the pews with bags of grapes and crackers. It's not the way we used to do things. It's not quite the way we used to gather around communion, and it won't be the way we gather forever. But I also look out and imagine everyone who is gathered around tables in their own homes. And God meets us in that giant, big, slightly hard to conceptualize table of fellowship. And so I'm wondering, what do your tables look like right now? Where is God meeting you? Are they makeshift tables on your porch? Are they big dining room tables that now have family gathering around them when they couldn't earlier in the pandemic? What do they look like? Maybe it's you. Maybe it's simply solo you gathering around a table with God. And of course, the next question becomes, who's missing from your table? Now, some of that is acknowledging the loss we've felt the last year or so. There may be people who are missing from our tables, whether through death or other losses, other changes in life, people have moved. But I'm also wondering, who can you invite to your table? It might not be inviting someone to your home, but who can you invite to your porch? Who can you invite who might find God in the tangible presence of a shared meal on a porch or a shared meal at a restaurant? If you're at that point, who is it that could experience God through your invitation? I know that's a reach for me often, to reach out and say, would you like to come? Would you like to share a meal in a park? Would you like to share a meal at this table that doesn't look like much because it's a makeshift table on my front porch? But I'm wondering, where is God showing up in those makeshift moments at the tables? Where is God showing up in our life together? And who can you invite into that, whatever that might look like? I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about that this coming Sunday, I will actually be guest preaching at the Presbyterian Church here in Kirksville, and Pastor Scott and Reverend Lori will be preaching at First UMC, and the story that they're going to tell talks about a time when there was not even actually a table, when Jesus fed many with 2 loaves and fish, and I won't tip their hand to what's going to happen on Sunday morning. But it got me to thinking that God showed up in a way that wasn't around an actual physical table. And it brought to mind this poem that I may have shared with some of you before. It's from Mary Oliver. And she writes, "Why wonder about the loaves and the fishes? If you say the right words, the wine expands. If you say them with love and the felt ferocity of that love and the felt necessity of that love, the fish explode into many. Imagine him speaking, and don't worry about what is reality or what is plain or what is mysterious. If you were there, it was all of those things. If you can imagine it, it is all of those things. Eat, drink, be happy, accept the miracle. Accept too each spoken word spoken with love." And that caught me, those last couple lines. Accept the miracle. Accept too the spoken word spoken with love. And so I'm wondering if the miracle for us in these days is that God shows up in our tables, around our tables, as single folk at tables, as families at tables, as church families gather in all kinds of different kinds of ways. God shows up in the words of others, in the look and the touch of a hand, in the shared laughter. And so my prayer for us this week is that we can do this, that we can eat and that we can drink and that we can be happy and that we can accept the miracle of God's presence spoken to us through the words of others, that we can accept the miracle of God's presence in the love of others present with us, and that when we experience that, we can share it with others. We can share that invitation to the simple miracle of fellowship together, whatever that might look like. And so friends, may we go in the knowledge, go in the peace that God will indeed show up, is right around us, is always here. We are not alone, and we can share that joy with others. Go in peace, my friends. Amen.